We're just emerging from what was probably one of the most challenging chapters for Sri Lanka. Education has been highlighted now. What is your personal assessment of the state of higher education today?
In doing so, we have to make higher education accessible to all youth of this country, especially the postgraduate education, and make them ready to compete in the global marketplace. Educated set of youth who can really make decisions, knowing what is happening in the global environment, and they will be wise to make correct decisions for the country. They will be the leaders of the country for the future. Ruwandi, the problem is this is a never-ending pursuit. Industry dynamics keep changing every day. So we can't stop saying that this is the kind of education that we need to give.
Sri Lanka is moving away from its crisis and into growth mode, and education has been highlighted as a key focus area. Tonight on the show, we're talking with Dr. Asanga Ranasinghe, the newly appointed director of PIM. Stay tuned.
Some bonds give more returns. Get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LMDtv Finance.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. Tonight on the forum, we're zooming in on the higher education sector of Sri Lanka. And with us we have Dr. Asanga Ranasinghe, who is the director of the Postgraduate Institute of Management, better known as PIM, Sri Jayawardhanapura University. He's also the chairman of Sri Lanka Standards Institution. Dr. Asanga, it's very nice to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Ruwandi.
So if we start off our discussion, we're just emerging from what was probably one of the most challenging chapters for Sri Lanka, economically, politically, socially, and education has been highlighted now as one of the key sectors that should be part and parcel of our revival journey. So against this backdrop, what is your personal assessment of the state of higher education today?
Ruwandi, as you know, we are a very resilient nation. We have gone through very difficult times and we have come out of all of them, I would say, very well. Having gone through such difficult times to be where we are today, it's not an easy task. So coming out of this whole economic crisis and the most difficult times and so on, for us to move forward, I think the most important aspect I would call would be the youth of this country. Educated set of youth who can really make decisions, knowing what is happening in the global environment, and they will be wise to make correct decisions for the country. They will be the leaders of the country for the future. Now for that, higher education plays a huge role. One of the big areas that we need to look at is producing an education system which puts out people, or I would say postgraduate qualified people who has a global mindset which can be used either in the academic field or in the professional field, in the industry, where Sri Lanka as a country would be able to really compete in the global scale. So if you look at today, we are surrounded by huge uncertainty related to geopolitics, sustainability, climate change, and on top of that, the advanced or the fast pace in the change of technology. So we have to have our leaders, future leaders or the young leaders equipped to take our country forward and to compete in the global world. So therefore, we need to make sure that we have the right standards in our education system, whether it's a public institution or whether it's a private institution. we have to ensure that the learning and the teaching experience that our leaders go through are of international repute. And we have to make it consistent with what is required in the industry. So I would say, Ruwandi, this is a time for us to look at the higher education sector in the industry and review what we have been having all this time, and maybe prepare for the future. In doing so, we have to make higher education accessible to all youth of this country, especially the postgraduate education, and make them ready to compete in the global marketplace.
Asanga, you spoke of a very important word there, future ready, future proof. So looking at how things are now, we always say we have to create leaders for the industry, for the future. How industry ready are our graduates who come up, especially at a postgraduate level?
I would say they are industry ready, but of course they can be different, they can be better. Ruwandi, the problem is this is a never-ending pursuit. Industry dynamics keep changing every day, so we can't stop saying that this is the kind of education that we need to give our what we call learning partners. You can't call them students because we're talking about higher education. In higher education, they're learning partners. So as organizations or as resource persons who are providing this teaching and learning experience to our learning partners, we need to really keep changing, keep revising, keep reviewing, and looking at what is happening in the world and bringing those changes required to our curriculum. For example, we are all talking about artificial intelligence now, AI. So we can't say that this is the curriculum we had for the last so many years. So therefore, we will continue, but we need to incorporate big data, analytics, the whole marketing thinking, the shopper marketing, the ability to develop strategies and revise and review these strategies and then to execute them. These require different skills. So if we don't change our education system and what we teach and the experience that our learning partners get from our education system, then we will be far behind. And we need to really keep changing, keep improving. So that's why I say it's a never-ending pursuit, Ruwandi.
And looking at the supply side of education, what would be your recommendations to higher education institutes, be it private or public, on how we can do this pursuit in the best manner?
So it doesn't matter whether it's private or public, it's the same objective that we are trying to achieve. We're trying to develop leaders for the country, for the world at large. So we have to make sure that they are, as I said, future ready. Now to make them future ready, they have to be taught and they have to be exposed and they have to be given the experience of what is required in the future. If you teach them of what happened in the past, then we would be foolish to assume that they will get the skills and the competencies that are required for the future. So as resource persons, we need to really gear up. We need to first learn, we need to be attuned to what is happening in the world. Then the technology that we use in our institutions have to really upgrade and update, and the tools that we use have to be very modern. So we can't really rest and say this is the best and always be satisfied with what we have today. Because see, now people in the future will not want to come to classrooms. I know you're doing your PhD and I did mine in a very different way to how people studied long time ago. So even libraries have to change. So a lot of things need to change based on what is required for the future. So you need to make that change today so that you equip the learning partners for the future in a way that they have the confidence, they have the tools, they have the competencies to really compete and win in the global marketplace.
Asanga, you spoke of something that I think was accelerated by the pandemic, technology-powered education. And we're seeing learning institutes, embracing this. Looking at it from the other side, the students, how ready and how geared our students to really optimize on technology? Are they using it properly, or is there more room for improvement?
First of all, I must say, we as Sri Lankans, our students, they are as good as anyone else. They can really thrive and do well in any environment. Just that they need to be, of course, as I said before, they need to be equipped, but they also need to have the mindset to really understand that today we are competing, and their future, more than ours, their future is dependent on their ability to really survive and thrive in a global environment. So our mindset, that whole narrow mindset of being restricted to one country, is not going to take them far. So therefore, first they need to really think about what they want to achieve and what they want to be in the future. So there's no option actually for us to restrict ourselves, because we have all what is required for us to do well in a global environment. There are many examples in many countries where Sri Lankans have gone and achieved very high status in life, and as well as in academics and in industry. So we must have that mindset, have the confidence, but prepare small steps, even on a daily basis, expose ourselves, our students. I always tell, and at PIM we expose our students to what is happening in the world. So we must spend at least a little time in exposing, in reading, in watching, in listening. And now today in this digitally connected world, you have 2-3 devices always connected. So rather than wasting time on matters which are not going to be helpful in the future, it's important that that our students really look at what's happening in the world and prepare. It's all about preparation. It's all about having the mindset that and having the confidence that you have the whole world open. Just that you need to make sure that you have the confidence and you have the skills and competencies to compete in a global scenario.
It's time to take a very short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about higher education.
What makes a truly awesome insurance company? Is it the skills to manage big numbers and big responsibilities? Well, that's definitely part of it. But there's more. It's the people. They're awesome. Super passionate about looking out for others and putting in their time for people's finances. It's not just the people. It's how we do things that's awesome. From being trendsetters of the industry to being connectors or inventors. It's about well-being and how we achieve it. Our teams hustle non-stop to meet the needs of the people. That's why we're on the rise. But it's not just about how we do things either. It's about how we improve things. Helping our clients thrive in a world that's full of awesome goals to achieve. Making the maximum out of the minimum. But wait, there's more to it. There's one last thing that truly makes an insurance company awesome. It's that we care about our people and our customers. All of this combined, it's been a pretty awesome year. And we're excited for tomorrow.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking with Dr. Asanga Ranasinghe, the Director of PIM, University of Sri Jayawardenepura, and the Chairman of Sri Lanka Standards Institution. And talking about skills and competencies, like you said, students are very adaptable these days, Sri Lankan students. However, if I'm being the devil's advocate here and talking about certain skill gaps, communication skills are highlighted most often when you take the whole of Sri Lanka as something that really prevents our postgraduates or even our students to go that extra mile. What are your thoughts on this, and how can we fill this gap?
You are absolutely right. If I am very blunt, I must highlight this point. Our students have the ability and they have the caliber to go and compete and match up to and even beat anybody in the world. But if you look around, what is holding us is our ability to communicate. Now, when I say communicate, it's not about communicating in perfect English or anything like that. It's about your ability to write. It is your ability to understand and comprehend, and then your ability to speak and have the confidence to speak. And in today's world, people don't have much time. So therefore, in a situation like that, it's very important that you grasp a lot of things and you're able to really bring it to a few points and make that big point that you want to make in a way that you have the confidence, you're assertive, and then you can get your message across. They say what is required now is to always take a stand. To take a stand, you need to have the support. You need to have the knowledge. You need to have the confidence to speak. You need to have the vocabulary to speak. So today the medium of communication in the world is English. So therefore we have no option from the beginning to learn English, and that's not a big thing for our students. And it is if you put your heart and soul into it, it is not a big thing. Now at PIM, for example, we do a pre-communication workshop for our master's students, and you must see the way they pick up, and then they really make a huge improvement in their whole writing, communication, even public speaking, their ability to read and grasp. So these are not big things. What is required is to set high standards and attend to details, and the most important thing is to persist. Unfortunately, you can't do it once and relax. You need to do it every day, and it has to be a practice. The good news is, when you do it every day, you'll be surprised to see how well you have improved and how well you have the confidence now to go out there and speak and to communicate and to get your job done.
Perseverance.
Perseverance is key, absolutely. So set standards, attention to detail, and persevere.
Perfect. Asanga, we've been talking about some very insightful topics, but we are sadly coming towards the end of our discussion. But I want to ask you, like you said, there's a lot of opportunities out there for Sri Lankans, and to get their education is the clear pathway. But if we were to refresh our system from where it is now to where we want it to be, who would you name as the main stakeholders, and what are the roles of these stakeholders?
So the first thing is that we must have a very outside-in lens. You must first start from the outside. When we produce these graduates or postgraduates to go into the market, whether it's in the academic field or whether it's in the industry, whether it's private sector or public sector, you must start from outside and find out what these sectors, what each of these sectors need. Now those needs have changed. So unfortunately, we think that the needs that we had or we were thinking about in the past still remain. But lots of these needs have changed. So I come from the industry, and I've been in the industry for a long time, almost 2.5, 3 decades. So when I joined as a management trainee to a management trainee today, the needs of the industry have changed. But if the education system does not change, then unfortunately we will produce graduates or postgraduates who really do not meet the needs of the industry. Same goes in the public sector. Now with my role in the Sri Lanka Standards Institution, I have realized that even the public sector requires change. That whole customer centricity, for example, is something that we need to really bring in to the organization. The whole business outlook, that whole passion for growth. Even as a scientist, you must look at creating this whole concept called value to customers. So these are things that our graduates have to think of as things for the future. Now, as institutions which provide or produce graduates, we have the responsibility to proactively go to the industry and to where we are producing and supplying this output, which would be graduates and leaders for the future, and understand what is required by these industries. Now the industry is crying for good quality future leaders, and it's not only in Sri Lanka, even outside. The whole need for talent, people with wisdom, people who have the ability, who have the organizational awareness to make changes quickly, they are in short supply. I think if we as institutions quickly realize this and then align our teaching and learning, the whole development, whole partnerships that we have, I think we can really take an advantage in this space. So it's up to us to really have this outside-in lens rather than saying the in-to-out lens. This is the kind of things that we teach. These are the graduates we put out, you please employ them. That would be then always a mismatch, because the industry has changed, they have different needs, and if we are to fit our graduates to the industry needs, we need to really go to the industry, not only industry, even to the public sector, even to the academic world. Industry relevant research that can be used, applied research which can be used to solve industry problems, and our graduates, our postgraduates need to put out their output which is of value in solving these industry related problems and issues. Then only we will be creating value to the country and to the world at large.
Perfect. My very last question to you. We spoke of customer centricity. What would you like to say to the consumers of higher education? What is your message to them?
See, the higher education industry has to, or higher education sector has to be recognized as a sector which will really contribute to the future of this country. Not only this country, anywhere in the world. And we must look at it as an investment. So industries need to come and partner with universities and postgraduate institutes, business schools, and really handhold these institutions to make these changes, and then maybe collaborate in the area of research and leadership development, partnerships. There are a lot of things that the recipients, as you call them, can do. We shouldn't allow the institutions or the universities to do things on their own. Collaboration or interdependence is the way to go.
Perfect. You worded that perfectly. We've been talking with Dr. Asanga Ranasinghe, the Director of PIM, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, and also the Chairman of Sri Lanka Standards Institution. Dr. Asanga, it was lovely having you, and thank you for an insightful conversation.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.